Good afternoon everyone. Our lesson for today is all about the basic photography composition using the principles of arts and design and our learning objectives. At the end of the discussion, the students will be able to list all principles of arts and design in basic photography, identifies the parts and functions of a camera, produce at least 3 photos integrated with principles of arts and design using camera or phone camera. Now, let's start. Okay class, before anything else, I want to know if you can hear me and if my screen is being already shared to the class. Can you see my screen everyone? Okay, thank you. Also, I want you to mute your microphone during our discussion and off your camera to save data. Understood class? Send heart reaction if yes. Now let us check your attendance. I want you to open your camera and unmute your microphone when I call your name. And if you understood kindly, please send heart reaction. Okay, thank you. Now let us begin. Anchieta, Basa, Cordova, Mindiola, Policarpio, Tolentino. Alright, very good. Because all is present on our meeting today and I hope it will continue to the other day. For our prayer, I will play a video prayer and I want you to follow it, okay?
Please bow your heads and let us pray. Dear Jesus, please show me how to spend this day sharing your love in every way. Help me to be kind to everyone, to play and laugh and have lots of fun, shining your light and giving your grace, sharing your joy with a smile on my face. Angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here. Ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide. Amen.
Good morning to my beautiful, handsome, energetic, and fabulous students. Alright, everyone seems very energetic and ready to learn something new today. Am I right? Very good. By the way, I want to remind you that your assignment is due today. So, pass your assignment as early as possible before its closing. It is posted in the general on our MS Teams. Very good. How about the others? Okay, good job. Everyone, let us have a brief review on what we've tackled about yesterday, which is the... Very good. Can anyone give some steps or processes in silk screen printing? Raise your virtual hands. Okay, Mindiola, give at least 3 steps in silk screen printing. Very good. Can anyone please give the other 4 remaining steps in silk screen printing? Okay, Policarpio. Very good, everyone. I am glad that you acquired learning about yesterday's topic. Before the discussion, I have prepared a fun interactive game for you to have hints on our discussion. This game is called Arrange the Photo. Instructions: I will show a picture that was cut into 4 pieces on every slide and all you have to do is guess what it is. Okay? Every correct answer will give you 1 point on recitation and everyone has a chance to answer. Just raise your virtual hand. Kindly please heart reaction if you understood. Okay, for example here, on the image, we can see a squirrel. So the answer is squirrel. Okay, understood? Okay, let us start our game. Okay, Estigay, what is your answer? Very good, it is a crab. Next one, Anchieta. That's right. Very good, it is a bahay kubo. For the next one, okay, Kalma, what is your answer? Very good, Kalma, it is a watermelon. For the next one, okay, Hernandez. Very good, Hernandez. For the last one, can you please answer it? Gabriel? Correct. Very good. It is a frog. Did you enjoy our game, class? Alright, thank you. Now let us start our discussion. Our game has connection on our topic, which is the basic photography. In this discussion, we will discuss the parts and functions of camera and the principles of arts and design in basic photography. First, let us talk about the parts and functions of the camera. Anyone, can you please define what a camera is? Raise your virtual hand if you want to answer. Okay, Ancheta? Very good, Ancheta. It can capture photos. Now let us define what a camera is. Camera is a device which creates images. It uses lights to capture images of objects. Everyone already saw a camera, right? We capture photos or images using it when we are together with our friends, and all of the images stores in the memory of the digital camera. So anytime we can look back on it. Did you get it? Okay, send heart reaction if you understood. Thank you. Now let's have a look at the basic parts that make up a digital camera along with their functions. They are aperture, lens, shutter release button, memory card, viewfinder, and lastly, user controls. First, let us define what is aperture. The aperture is a part which opens and closes through which light passes to enter the camera. It is defined as the camera control that will allow you to choose how much you want to open the lens. Once the lens is set to the desired opening, the exposure meter will adjust automatically. The meter will then determine the closing speed of the shutter. This procedure happens every time we click to take a picture. Technically, it is defined as the ratio of focal length to effective aperture diameter. Does anyone already saw an aperture? Can be on TV, TikTok, or in real life. Raise your virtual hand if you already saw it. Alright, looks like you're already familiar with this one. It is the one which, if you observe, covers the lens of the camera. And it can adjust according to the user, just like on the sample image. Also, aperture has several effects on your photograph. Perhaps the most obvious is the brightness or exposure of your images. As aperture changes in size, it alters the overall amount of light that reaches your camera sensor and therefore the brightness of your image. So for example, here on the picture, a large aperture or a wide opening will pass a lot of light, resulting in a brighter photograph. Therefore, on a small aperture does just the opposite, making a photo darker. So the medium aperture making the photo looks just like normal and balanced. Take a look at the illustration to see how it affects the exposure. In a dark environment such as indoors or at night, you will probably want to select a large aperture to capture as much light as possible. This is the reason why people's pupils dilate when it gets dark. Pupils are the aperture of our eyes. Did you get it now, class? Send heart reaction if you get it. Okay, now let us proceed to the lens of the camera. Lens, also called as photographic or optical lens, is attached to the camera body. It helps in capturing an object and storing it. Lenses are available in different types. That includes standard zoom, telephoto zoom, fisheye, macro, wide angle, and etc. And this is an example of a lens. Lens is very important on a camera because it will serve a different effects on images that you will produce. The type of lens that you choose can have determining effects on the pictures that you want to take, because some lenses can take detailed pictures from far away, while others can capture extreme detail from close by. There are even lenses that can give you distorted images. The conclusion is that the better the lens, the better is the quality of the picture. Understood, class? Okay, now let us proceed to the other parts of the camera, which is the shutter release button. The shutter button is the button that is pushed to take a photograph. It is variously also known as the release or release button or the shutter release and some other term. It is found on the exterior of the camera, normally on the right hand side top. Here on the picture, the bright red button is the shutter release button. But remember, not all shutter release buttons are like that. Some shutter release buttons bulge out of the body of the camera. Others are made close to the body of the camera. This gives the camera a sleek, smooth looking top, and that's the shutter release button of the camera. Did you get it now, class? Send heart reaction if you get it. Okay, I have questions for you before proceeding to the other parts of the camera. Just raise your virtual hand if you want to answer. First question, it is normally on the right hand side top of the camera. Okay, Dea Cruz, what is the answer? That's right, it is the shutter release button. Next question, it is a device which creates images. Okay, Tolentino, what is your answer? A camera, very good. Last one, a large aperture or a wide opening will pass a blank amount of light, resulting in a brighter photograph. Okay, Chavez, what is your answer? Very good. Now let us proceed. Memory card is a type of storage media used to store photos and videos. Two most popular memory cards are the SD or Secular Digital and SF or the Compact Flash cards. SD cards are usually used on cell phones and this is the smallest on the picture, while Compact Flash are the usually used on camera and they are bigger than SD cards. Also, memory card comes in different sizes and in terms of their capacity. For example, some memory cards has 120 gigabyte and some has up to 1 terabyte. Always remember to avoid exposing it to wet places and dust because it can cause of corrupting and malfunction. Are we clear, class? If yes, then send heart reaction. And if not, raise your virtual hand. Yes, Baldos, what is your question? Alright, very good question. Terabyte is bigger than gigabyte because 1 terabyte is equal to 1000 gigabytes and therefore terabyte has bigger the capacity than gigabytes. I hope you understand it now. Okay, now let us proceed. Viewfinder is the component that displays the image to be shot. When the device is held to the photographer's eye, it tries to find the spot to focus on through viewfinder. On the figure, we can see on the upper part of the camera that there is a small mirror wherein the photographer will focus on to have clearer view on the image, and that is the viewfinder. So basically, on its own definition, it is simply means that it is where the photographer focus on to see where is the right spot and when is the perfect timing for a shot. It will give the photographer a view to take wonderful photos. User controls in a camera. As the name implies, the user controls are the control options that you find on the top of the camera. This vary from one type of model to another. from one brand to another. Basic models do not have many user controls since they come with automatic settings that change depending on the condition the person is taking the photo in. Now we are all done discussing the parts and functions of the camera. Now let us proceed to the 7 principles of arts and design in basic photography. First, we have the balance. When you hear the balance, what comes in your mind? Yes, this one? That's right. And according to our definition, balance is used to illustrate the visual weights of an object. It can either unite the photograph or create divisions. A carefully balanced image lends to a sense of stability to a photograph. An unbalanced image creates disunity or unrest. For example, here on the picture, it is an example of a photograph with balance. As you can see, there is an equal distributions of pattern each both side, and because of it, our eyes sees it with pleasant and satisfied. Did you understand it, class? Send a heart reaction if yes, and raise your virtual hand if not, or if there is some question. Okay, very good. Let us proceed now. Rhythm. In many ways, composition in music is very similar to composition in photography. The photographic concept of rhythm borrows heavily from music theory. Just like a musician reading a note on a sheet of music, subjects in a space regulate the way we view the photograph. The rhythm dictates the recurring or organized, disorganized distribution of visual elements throughout an image. To introduce the sense of rhythm to your photograph, try visualizing musical notation, the space correlations, and difference between subjects in a photograph. Like this one reflects notes on the sheets of paper. Just like on our example, in this image, you can see and feel the connection between each other's flower. It doesn't show any words, but it seems like it is speaking. Third, we have pattern. When we heard pattern, what comes in your mind? Okay, Kalma, what's your answer? Very good. Now let us define what is pattern. Patterns are repetitions of the elements of art and design. This work in unison written in a single frame. As we can see here on the image, we can clearly identify the pattern that makes this photograph. With the unison of diamond-like shape, it forms and creates pattern, even if they have different colors. With this pattern, it is very calm to see on our eyes and also very pleasant. Now, we have emphasis. Emphasis shapes the center of interest in an image. Color, space, texture, and line works together to determine the focus of an image. For example, here on this photograph, where is the center of the interest? Please raise your virtual hand if you want to answer. Okay, Ocampo, what it is? That's right, because of the color of the flower. It emphasizes it on the image and become the focal point. The bright color of the flower within the dark scene gives the sense of vibrancy and life to an image, and so it draws the viewer's eye. Next, we have contrast. Contrast is created when two or more opposing elements are present in a photograph. Light against dark, warm against cool. Just like here on our example photograph, as the definition, it is created with two or more elements are present. Color in photography is a powerful tool to create the mood and grab the viewer's attention. If we take a look on this one, every element can grab our attention because they are contrast. We can feel the warmth on our eyes on the red sauce and the cool feeling on the oranges, together with additional highlights of other colors on the photograph. Did you understand it now, class? Send heart reaction if yes, and raise your virtual hand if there is any questions. Okay, seems like you understand it, so we will now proceed. When we talk about unity, what comes into your mind? Anyone? Okay, caballero? That's right. Thank you. Now let us define what is unity. Unity describes the visual relationships between elements in a photograph. It helps create the cohesive image. Here on our image, we can see the unity is present. That is why it forms a rock formation. Do you think it will stand if the biggest rock is on the top and the smallest one is on the bottom? Okay, Chavez? That's right. Just like on us as human. If we want unity, then first we must know everyone's ability so that we will have our goal, and that is what we call unity. Understood, class? Send heart reaction if yes, and raise your virtual hand if not. Okay, thank you. For the last principle, we have the movement. The term movement in photography often describes the relationship between the camera's shutter speed and a subject. When it comes to art and design, movement refers to the path the viewer's eyes takes while reading a photograph. Just like here, our eyes will directly to the most gentle and outstanding object on the photograph, which is the eye. It gives ease and relaxations on the viewer's eyes, so it is the focal point. It also depends on the photographer to use different colors to guide our eye movements. And that's all on our discussion. Any clarification or question? You can ask me by raising your virtual hands before going to have a quiz. If you don't have any question, kindly send heart reaction. Okay, seems like you understand it. So, let us have our quiz. It is already posted on the general on our MS Teams. I will only give you 15 minutes to answer the 10-item quiz. You may start now. Alright, now that you are all finished on our quiz, we can now summarize our discussion. For the parts and functions of a camera, I will play a video for clearer and better understanding.
In this video, we are going to look at the anatomy of a camera. The purpose of a camera is to capture light and record the image. In order to capture an image clearly, a light-proof camera body is required. This ensures that only the light that is wanted will enter the camera in order to be recorded. Inside this light-proof body, there is a light-sensitive sensor or piece of film. This sensor will react to light when it enters the camera, recording the information and producing an image. A lens is attached to the front of the body of the camera. This allows the light entering the camera to be controlled. The light is focused by the lens to create a sharp, upside-down image on the sensor. The lens also houses the aperture, which is made up of blades that can open wider or smaller to let more or less light through the lens. The final piece is the shutter, which is a fast-moving mechanical curtain that completely blocks light from coming from the lens to the sensor. The shutter can open rapidly to allow light to hit the sensor for the desired amount of time. these mechanical pieces work together to create a proper image.
Memory card has the storage media uses by a photographer to store pictures and videos, and lastly, user controls, which are the control options that you find on the top of the camera. And for our 7 principles, first we have balance. Is used to illustrate the visual And for our 7 principles, first we have balance. Is used to illustrate the visual weight of an image. Second, rhythm dictates the recurring or organized or disorganized distribution of visual elements throughout an image. Third, pattern are active principles of arts and design. They lift an object off the page. Fourth, emphasis shapes the center of interest in an image. Fifth, contrast created when 2 or more opposing elements are present in a photograph. Sixth, unity describes the visual relationship between elements in a photograph. Lastly, the term movement in photograph often describes the relationship between the camera's shutter speed and a subject. Photography can give many stories on one picture. It is something that holds memory, history, and even heavenly objects. Through the use of photography, students will be more creative, be more explorer, and be more active around their environment. As you notice, class, every principles of arts and design can also integrated in the use of technologies such as on photography. Photography needs the use of the sense of principles of arts to create the capture images that will hold so much meaning behind it. It uses these principles because photography is an art, and so it needs supports of it to produce such beautiful images. When these different principles will be presented on a photograph, then it will produce different point of view, different impact, and views that word differently. Now we can have art activity posted on the general on our MS Teams. You only have 15 minutes to answer it all. You can now start. Alright, 15 minutes is over, and I know all of you is already done. So now, I have already posted your assignment on our MS Teams on the general. So please answer it. And that's all for our discussion. I hope you enjoy and learn something new today. Goodbye!